Hey guys, my name is Puftendo, and welcome to this episode of Domain Legion Podcast. In this video, we'll be talking about our hopes for Super Mario Odyssey 2, assuming Nintendo makes an Odyssey sequel. You guys can check me out at Puftendo. Now, everyone, may you please introduce yourselves, starting with Brief.
Guys, my name is Brief. I run a YouTube channel called Brief Gamer Up that no one has ever heard of. Alright, next.
I'm Exy. I have a dead channel called Exy.
Hi, I'm Games Past the Prime. I do a YouTube channel called Games Past the Prime where I review old Nintendo games.
Guess I'm up next since everyone else is muted. I am Z-Man, and I'm not going to link my YouTube channel since it's just full of clips of me from 6th grade with a high-pitched voice that kills your ears.
You know what? I appreciate the concern for everyone's ears. I appreciate that. So let's
Remember that coding video well.
Oh my god, dude, that... that 6th grade voice me is not something you want to listen to voluntarily.
Honestly,
I mean, that depends on who you ask.
Yes, everything does.
So, Super Mario Odyssey 2, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, what do you guys think of the first game? The first game.
Actually, I thought it was pretty good.
You think? I mean, it was runner-up for Game of the Year, I believe, in 2017. I don't see how.
I mean, it's all right. I didn't love everything about it, but I mean, it wasn't certainly bad by any means. It was definitely one of the better Mario games when you consider past Mario games that came out previously. Like, it at least innovated and tried to do something different.
It's true.
From what I played of it, I enjoyed it a fair bit.
But am I wrong in saying that it took an old formula and made it worse? Like, for example, the open world aspect of going to different levels and worlds, like Super Mario Sunshine. It kind of took inspiration from that, but did it worse, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that?
So what in your opinion made it work?
You first.
We got this, guys. We got this. Everybody take a turn.
If you want to say something, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to say something really quickly," and then be polite. Whoever speaks first, let them speak.
Yeah. This is going great.
This is awesome. It's working out. We can just cut out most of it.
True. By the end of this, 2 hours of us talking, it's going to be 3 minutes of actual footage about Odyssey.
Actual content. That sounds like my entire YouTube channel. Anyways.
Literally, I cannot relate to that anymore. All right, so Super Mario Sunshine and how it's better than Odyssey, and how Odyssey did the formula worse. You guys agree with that?
I do agree.
Super Mario 64. I feel Super Mario 64 did that 3D open world aspect better than Odyssey.
100% agree.
I do feel like Odyssey's parkour, it's platforming was phenomenal though.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I feel like a lot of the core of the Mario games is the platforming aspect. That's kind of what made the Mario games the Mario games.
And they popped off with that. Super Mario Sunshine and 64 didn't really have that, while Odyssey the main focus was the platforming on those worlds. So go ahead.
I want to say something about the platforming and how they advertised open worlds.
Yeah.
So the main focus of Super Mario Odyssey is that it's open world. You can do whatever you want. But if you're just going through the main series, not the main series, but the main story.
Yeah.
It's mostly filled with linear.
Yeah.
Linear.
For sure, and I think that's exactly something that I would look for into a sequel is to actually promote that entire open world aspect and make it truly open world. Don't try to force a player down a single path, right? Try to open up all the paths. Let the player decide where they're going to go.
Like Breath of the Wild, you can fight Bowser in the first second. Do that, you know.
Yeah.
You want to say Princess Peach without Cappy? Go right ahead.
For sure. I mean, if you get destroyed for doing so, that's your own decision to make. You know.
They need to do what they did in the original Mario game, to where a speed run lasts under 5 minutes.
My problem with the world is that once you complete a world, unless you want to get to the end game content, there's no reason to go back there once you get all the moons.
Right.
Exactly. I feel like what's it called? Post game. Is that what it's called? Post game gameplay. Yeah. There was a bunch, but there was nothing making you want to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no incentive other than getting that 100% completion, all the moons. Yeah. That's the only incentive you have.
And the game has way too many moons. You beat the game, hey, here's 50 more moons you can get.
Right, exactly.
Like
So-
imagine if they did it to where if you collected all the moons, you unlock a new level with even more moons, or a new boss, or you can unlock a new game mode to where you can like play through the game as Luigi or something like that. Like that would be perfect post-game content.
Yeah.
Nah,
I
instead
mean,
of
I mean, secrets or unlockables, that'd be amazing.
Yes, but they didn't have any of that except for like a Luigi costume, I think. But you got that before. You got that either way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's no. So I feel like Odyssey 2 needs to have a good post game and also have a good. If the game wants to call itself an open world Mario game or like
it needs to be actually open
an
world.
open
Right,
world,
it
yeah,
should be
and
truly open
yeah.
world.
exactly.
Is anyone else having?
It's not that they can't do it. I mean, obviously, like we pointed out already, Zelda Breath of the Wild can. So just do that kind of style with Mario. I mean, how hard could it possibly be?
I'll bet you somewhere someone has retextured Breath of the Wild to make Mario as the main character.
Oh, I'm sure
Oh,
if you can get
obviously.
Thomas
No,
the Tank Engine in
definitely.
there, you know.
Yeah, if
Those
you get
mods.
Master Chief and Zelda, bro, you can get
You can
Mario.
get Mario in there.
Right.
Exactly.
That'd be fun. They just changed the game mechanic to where you don't actually need like the bow or the sword or anything. You just go around jumping on the goblin things.
For sure.
Now, like I feel like games like Super Mario Sunshine, they were very linear, but yet you still had that sense of freedom.
Right.
So, like,
right. I love
like,
those.
there was the hub world, the Delfino Isle, right? Or the
Right. Yep.
town. Completely, you just do whatever you want. You just f***ed around. You just played around in the water. I remember doing that as a kid all the time. Oh,
Yeah.
I swear.
And the way you get levels
Doc, you
in
can do this.
Sunshine
I
is
can't.
number based.
For me,
Yeah.
when I think of open world, the first game that comes to mind is something like Subnautica.
Oh yeah.
Just the
Subnautica comes up. I think of GTA every time I think about open worlds.
Are you serious?
To be honest,
It's usually Skyrim for me when I think about overworld or like Fallout
I
4.
mean Skyrim, yeah. But I'm old. Like I'm old school. I remember playing like GTA 3. But
GTA
I mean,
4 is my first one.
but I mean, bringing it back on track. I mean, if you create, it doesn't have to be a massive open world. Just make it semi-open world, or even if you want to have gated off content, there's still a proper way to do that in an open world that I feel Odyssey didn't do.
That is facts. You know how in Sunshine, I'm always talking about Sunshine. I'm a huge Sunshine fan. You would
Same.
unlock
Oh, yeah.
unlock a different nozzle, and then you could unlock different things to do in the plaza. You know,
Right, exactly.
and they
I
didn't
think
really
that-
have that in Odyssey except for like Cappy, but Cappy was the only gimmick. He was the only gimmick.
Like honestly, if they did like an open world semi Metroidvania game, I think I'd be perfectly content with that. You know, the idea of getting new abilities, unlocking new equipment, and then having to go back through areas you've already been to explore more
Exactly.
areas. I think that's a
Exactly.
fantastic
That's
idea.
brilliant.
So-
That's actually brilliant.
Is anyone else having this is a little bit off topic? Is anyone else having audio issues? Because like you guys are just cutting out on me in the middle of sentences.
No, I'm not noticing any audio
It
issues.
could be. Check your ping on the bottom left. Check your MS.
Audio is just-
So he's back. Awesome.
Yeah.
yeah. Audio problem solved. I hope.
But well, I know, we're constantly. Oh my goodness, we're constantly talking about Super Mario Sunshine. Well, at least I'm talking about it all the time, and how that game
Well, it's easy to go back to.
Yeah, right. That game perfected like the freedom and not really open world, but like you had stuff to do in the world. But Odyssey really didn't. It was just jump. But like Super Mario Galaxy, which is really super linear, but yet
Right.
I still believe that game is better than Odyssey to some extent.
Okay,
It's
but
also
arguing
much
devil's
more fun.
advocate, you have the very original Super Mario game, which was quite literally linear in the fact that it didn't have a third dimension,
Right.
and
True.
it is one of the most loved Mario games out there. The original.
I feel like
Can
it's
I be-
more. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm gonna be controversial. I don't like the original Mario games. I think they were boring. I really didn't
I
enjoy
think
them at
so
all.
too. I feel like it's just more of a sense of nostalgia. That's why they're so popular because it's the first
Yeah.
Mario game besides like the arcade one.
Right.
So I feel like it's more
That
of a sense of
plumber,
nostalgia.
the guy who
And honestly, I like that one more. I like the arcade one more.
you like the one where you go and
Yeah.
you like the one where you go and hype and then just like hit the Koopas.
Yeah,
Oh,
you,
man.
you hit Koopas. Shoot, Super Mario Odyssey. Why there was no reference to that in Odyssey?
No,
Actually,
there-
there was.
There was a Donkey
Yeah, there
Kong
was.
arcade one.
Or the two D's actually.
Are you sure?
It's a whole
Yeah, it's in New Donk City.
I could have sworn that was just a regular Donkey Kong game mode, not the plumbing one.
Oh, that one. You mean?
yeah, we're
Yeah,
talking about.
Oh, yeah,
We're
you
talking
have
about the
plumbing
one where you're
one.
like the actual plumber.
Like it was just called Mario Bros. You play as Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
I
Well,
remember
it was
that.
more Mario and Green Mario at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mario Jumpman Mario.
So the Donkey Kong one is pretty lit too. Let's be honest.
I
Oh
think
yeah, that was awesome. If they had more stuff like that, that was awesome.
he was a carpenter in the Donkey Kong game, correct?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
A carpenter or like construction.
You went from like
worker.
a carpenter to a plumber. What is he now canonically? I know they like.
Not
both
anything.
I think he's
I
just
don't think
Mario.
he's anything.
I think he's just Mario.
He's just Mario.
He's just generic red
He's not
Italian.
Mario the anything. He's just Mario.
Generic red
everything.
Italian.
Does he have a last name? Maybe the next
Mario.
artist.
His last name is Mario.
Mario.
His first and last name is
Mario.
Mario. His full name is Mario Jumpman Mario.
Yeah, Mario Jumpman Mario.
Yeah, jump from Donkey Kong.
Damn, Jumpman.
We're getting into that
crazy name.
topic.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
That-
yeah, we're
that,
getting-
that
Back to
entire
Odyssey.
conversation.
Mario Odyssey.
Remember the Super Mario Odyssey part of the podcast?
No,
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that actually.
Yeah, so
Wait,
we're
was
just,
it
we're
Odyssey?
just trying to get
I thought we
back
were talking
on.
about Smash Bros. My bad.
Odyssey happened.
Hey, Scooble.
What's
I know
that?
I know you just joined us. Do you want to introduce yourself? And he's muted. Never mind.
You just got wrecked, dog. Before you even finished
So
your
yeah,
sentence.
I think I went in Odyssey 2 is like a have a
A
Mario
goat.
Galaxy power-ups, but in
Oh,
cat
yeah.
form.
Well,
Oh
well,
yeah.
A ghost cap
Like
or
a hat in
a
time.
spring cap.
I like the Hat in Time, dude.
Hat in time, dude. That'd be a great way to model a game, like model the Odyssey 2 after kind of like the Hat in Time. I think that'd be great. I don't think
Hat in
anyone would
Time
complain about
is
that.
what Odyssey should have been, in my opinion.
That's what I think too. Like
Yeah,
everyone
actually,
was expecting
yeah.
each cap to have a different power up, and it just turned out to be a bunch of cosmetics.
Exactly. Like, can you think about if they had that many different abilities? That would be insane.
That would be so much fun. But all you could do in that game was capture and jump on Cappy and do some crazy parkour. The parkour was fun.
Yeah.
Don't let me.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It was still good. It was still
It
fun.
was just
I think they could have done more.
I feel like more
Odyssey-
gimmicks. It would have been awesome.
Odyssey just turned into a generic platformer with a character who was recognizable.
Basically, yeah.
To a degree, yeah.
Look at Breath of the Wild. You had the ruins, right? You had so much fun with each.
They
different
basically
ruin.
Breath of the Wild did a lot with the series. It kind of redefined a lot of the things that were in Zelda.
And I
It
feel
really
like
did,
they
yeah.
tried doing that with Odyssey, but like they were much safer about it. Like, well, this is Mario. We wouldn't want to change too
Exactly.
much about him.
I was
It
gonna
just-
say, I think they got scared. I think they got scared about changing it too much that they wanted to keep the core.
Why are they scared
gameplay
about changing Mario? They made Hotel Mario, which was a perfect game.
Whoa,
Right.
whoa! All right, let's just move on from that subject and just
Hotel
pretend
Mario?
that no one said that.
Hotel Mario. Is that what I heard?
Sorry.
Hotel Mario.
Hotel Mario was the best Mario of all
God.
time. Should have won Game of the Year, honestly.
Good Lord.
I'd rather stab my eyes out than play that game.
Good Lord. So, are there any just features you
Oh.
guys are?
Oh yes, I was just thinking about this. I was thinking, I'm sick and tired of Bowser. I get it. Bowser kidnaps the princess, but like, can we get like anyone else? King Boo?
No, you know what? Here's what they should do.
King Boo is
Have
reserved for Luigi's Mansion only.
Why can't we
I
bring back
know.
Giga Bowser? I mean, come on.
no, what they
Giga
gotta
Bowser.
do is they have to have Bowser, but instead of scaly lizard Bowser, they have President of American Nintendo Bowser.
Oh, that's genius.
Well,
That is absolutely genius.
that-
Like,
that would
in
be-
all seriousness, but like,
That'd
for,
be amazing.
imagine. You're like, you know how the Superstar Soccer games, like those, have really crazy stories, right? Imagine if this is a 3D Mario game heavily focused on the story, right? So then you have, first of all, you think the villain at first is Bowser, but he actually captures Princess Peach for a reason to save the world, and then you have to team up with Bowser to stop some evil force. Think about that.
Yes,
You know
I
what?
love
I
that.
would really
Totally.
enjoy that.
Totally.
Genius.
I would. It was basically reverse what's happened in every Mario game ever.
Have we ever like figured out who Bowser's dad is? Because I think that'd be an amazing villain. If I'm gonna be 100% honest,
King Koopa.
Bowser's dad's the ultimate evil because even he hates his own dad.
Oh my god. Alright, imagine like Bowser's dad has some sort of brother. Imagine like an Uncle Bowser who's just like
Uncle Bowser.
the chill one. We just have like, Uncle Bowser who's just like the chill one in the family.
Grandpa Bowser. Let's just go back to Grandpa Bowser at this point.
They have personified Bowser so much. It's not too far fetched to think of like a Bowser spin-off game towards a story about Bowser alone.
Oh, that'd be
That
cool.
would be awesome.
You know, honestly,
They should
I'd
do
be
a lot
down
of
for that.
I'll be so down for that.
Yeah.
But like, it'd be great to have like introductions to that from Odyssey 2. Like, bring in new Bowser type characters besides just Bowser. You know, I just think that would help make it easy to continue going with the game without it being kind of pulled down by the same old story over and over again.
So here's my question.
I agree. It's always princess gets captured, game over.
Princess
and Mario
gets
does not
captured,
get laid.
saved
Mario
by
does
Red.
not get laid. That's what happens. Mario does not get laid.
No, remember he gets that cake though. He
That
gotta
is
get that
facts.
cake though.
That is facts. He gets that baked cake from Princess Peach.
It's the best trap Bowser has ever set in Mario 64. Heck, in Mario 64 DS, it brought 4 people.
I know, right?
That's
It's great.
crazy.
Fantastic.
Bowser's popping off.
So here's one thing I'm thinking. Whenever they do make a sequel Mario game, whether it's 2D or 3D, they don't really just call it that game 2. You guys are talking about it as if it's going to be a Mario Odyssey 2. Think of it like after Sunshine. Galaxy was after Sunshine, right? It was like a whole new thing. I feel like if they do an Odyssey 2, it's not going to be an Odyssey 2. It's just going to be a whole new Mario.
That's what I feel like. It's gonna be like Mario Renaissance.
I mean, didn't they have a Galaxy 2 though?
That is true.
They did have
So
Galaxy.
they could potentially do Odyssey 2, but they might just rebrand it into something else. That is possible.
I feel like that's what they would. I feel like that's what they're gonna do.
Well, I think with how well Odyssey has sold, though, I could see them easily doing the same thing and just doing Odyssey 2, because keep the name brand, it's already sold millions. You might as well just continue that recognition.
That is true. You
So
see,
So here's the thing: they don't need the name recognition. The reason it sold so well wasn't because the name recognition Odyssey. It sold because the name recognition Mario.
No,
Yeah,
I 100%
that's true.
agree. But I would argue that when you put Galaxy out there, right, it made so much buzz that how good it was that by making Galaxy 2, people just immediately assumed it was going to be as good as Galaxy. You
Which
do
it
the
was
same thing with
not.
Odyssey. Right, you
That is true,
come out
but
with
we're-
Odyssey. It's considered a great game. You create Odyssey 2. Everybody's gonna assume it's a great game, and we're gonna buy it anyways, regardless of what anybody else said.
that's
Now,
capitalism for you. That's
Now, granted,
capitalism.
That is the entirety of capitalism. You don't know.
Exactly. And I was gonna say, well, you could do the same thing with just having the Mario's name on it. I think it sells even better with the added bonus of like an Odyssey 2, in my opinion.
This is basically what the film industry is doing with like rebooting things and just making sequels. There's like no,
Star Wars.
there's-
Oh my god.
there's
Don't
no
even
like original movies coming out now. It's either a sequel of some previous movie or like part of a
Or a
different
reboot,
thing,
yeah.
or a reboot of an old movie, or whatever the crap Disney's doing with remaking
Oh my
everything
God.
with Will Smith.
Right.
God, don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know about that. Disney's disappointing me, but like Nintendo isn't like Disney. They're more of quality over quantity.
They
in my
really are.
opinion.
Though. That's one
I
of
mean, I was
them.
That's
gonna
why
say,
I love
they've at least
Nintendo.
innovated, you know?
Just playing with blocks.
Just
They make changes, but I do feel like they should have like implemented the Joy-Cons somehow more into Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that they would improve upon on a sequel is, or another Mario game is to
Do you-
improve upon that aspect.
And I'm
Do you
assuming. Go ahead.
all right. You can get your point out first. Mine's gonna
Alright.
change the topic.
Oh, I got you. So yeah, thank you. So I'm assuming that the reason why we didn't get much Joy-Con support for Odyssey is because they were developing Odyssey before the Switch was even like it was called the NX. Y'all remember those days when the Switch was called
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's when the game was being developed, at least around that time. And so that's why I feel like there's not much Joy-Con support for that game is because they didn't really, know how to use the Joy-Cons properly. So they didn't want to, make a game based around an idea that wasn't really fully developed yet. So I feel like,
Makes sense.
Do you
It's not
think
required,
that?
but if you swing your Joy-Con at an angle, you throw Cappy at an angle, so it's
exactly
Kind
like
of.
a boomerang him
Yeah.
or something. That would be cool. That would
You
be
know,
so cool.
it's not a boomerang, but you can kind of tilt. If you tilt your Joy-Con to the side, you throw them at an angle, but that's kind of all you can really do.
Oh, that'd be
But-
kind of
but-
cool.
but-
That's kind of
But
I'm
cool.
pretty-
push more on
I'm
that.
pretty
and
sure
I-
you can. It's basic, but you can do that in Odyssey 1.
Yeah, to an extent, but I think if you could push even more into it, almost give you a free flow of throwing however you want, I think that would be great.
That would be amazing.
That'd be so awesome. Well, you
Do
can
you guys think
control him completely with the Joy-Cons, but then again, we have drift. So I mean, drift is for the control
Oh.
stick, not the actual Bluetooth. Is it? I'm not sure.
Do you think that the next Mario game will be on the Switch or some unannounced
Definitely.
console that
Oh,
will
it's gonna be
be
on
in
the
the
Switch.
future?
It's gonna be
It'll-
Switch.
It'll be on one of the Switches. Like
If
it
they're
is.
gonna
no.
put Breath of the Wild 2 on the Switch, then Mario is gonna be on the Switch as well.
We're gonna make
That is true.
a Switch Pro, and to
Oh, I see it
advertise the
coming.
Switch Pro, they'll bundle Mario Odyssey 2 with it.
That's actually a good theory.
That is probably true.
Yeah.
That's actually a good theory, and it could sell like a bundle.
I
with
could
Mario
definitely see
Odyssey
that
2.
coming. Yeah,
That's definitely a brilliant marketing plan.
for sure. I definitely could see it.
I only have a few points. I don't know I don't know what to talk about.
What about any other characters? It's just Mario. The focus of the game is just Mario. You know, in Galaxy, you had to focus on Rosalina and the Luma. You remember those stories you heard about with the Lumas? Where's that in Odyssey? Pauline's just there because nostalgia. And no one really knew who Pauline really was unless you're like over 30 years old. No offense to the
I know who she is because I played Mario mini games.
I did not.
Mini merging games.
I never heard who she was until Odyssey. I know I'm a zoomer, but it's like I never knew who she was until Odyssey. I'm like, oh, that's that girl from the original Mario. Awesome. Actually, no, that's a lie. I need that from Matt Pat. Matt Pat did a video on it. It's game theory, bro. That's when that channel was good.
I mean, there's no disagreeing that I think that the story is definitely weaker. I think they could definitely improve on the story in some aspect. I think they need to improve Bowser and Mario's sort of weird relationship they have in general. I think that needs to be continued to improve. I think you need to introduce more of the characters from Mario. Bring in more of the characters that already exist, even like Wario, Waluigi. Make them more of a focal point. Into the next games. You know, you have all these people and you don't properly use them. What's the point?
That's brilliant.
So take the cap idea, but you have 4 characters, and you need each character in different areas. Like Wario could break heavy walls like he could in 64D.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but do you ever think they're going to put Waluigi in the mainstream game? I mean, you've seen
I
what
really
they've done.
want him to. I mean, why not?
Awesome. You have the character there. They made him for a reason.
They made him, but then they just threw him under the bus. They haven't.
No, I know they throw him under the bus, but I was saying they should use him. I mean, there's no reason.
I 100% agree that they should use Waluigi more. I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying, do you think that they will use him more?
Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest,
list, not predictions. So
yeah,
it's good.
It's what I'm hoping for. I hope they do. Will they? That's a whole other question. I'm not Nintendo. I don't know their brain. The fact that they released a new Smash character that was completely unrelated to what anybody else thought that it was going to be. I mean, I don't know what Nintendo's thinking. All right.
Are there any characters left that are going to be in Smash, or have they released all the DLC?
Yeah, they said that they're coming out with another 6 more characters. Yeah. So Waluigi could still make it. Waluigi could still make it.
Master Chief has a chance. Master Chief has a chance, boys.
There's no way
There's no way they're going to put Master Chief.
No, you think I'm joking, but I'm dead ass. I'm serious.
It ain't coming.
Y'all doubters.
I am.
Yeah.
But to further go on that point even deeper about more characters in Mario, it'd be so much fun to play as Waluigi.
Yeah,
and like you said, with the abilities, it's actually a brilliant idea, and I don't know a single person in the entire universe that would complain about that.
This is going to get sort of off topic, but I'll wrap it back into Odyssey.
I mean, it's good to keep something talking about so that we're like comfortable to actually say something. So go ahead.
Yeah. So if you think about the TV show Phineas and Ferb, when that was a thing, if you notice that it followed the same formula for every episode, because the way that the TV was back then was everyone watched it live, and it was expected that the shows were watched out of order. So obviously there was zero plot that related with the plot of any other episodes, because that way you could watch that episode 20 after seeing episode 37, and they would look like they went right next to you.
Yep.
The same thing with these sort of, I feel like they're doing with the Mario games, is the fact that because these are made more for children, their target demographic is for children. They obviously want to be safe, more safe with it, as well as keeping it to where anyone can pick it up without prior experience of the game. And the fact that if they start making a really deep and intricate plot that does multiple games and whatnot, it's going to become to the point where it's going to be shifted more towards adults or people who are able to sort of process this more intricate storyline rather than children who are like, yay, red guy jump on turtle who goes kaboom, and then look, we saved the princess, yay!
I mean, I don't wholly disagree, but I think I disagree to certain elements, because if you look at, I mean, just based on that, I mean, just look at Zelda and look at the Zelda 64 games like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time.
Game. I put it as
They're huge, big games that everyone remembers fondly, but yet their story is kind of like a one-off. They don't tie into each other necessarily. Breath of the Wild is different on that, obviously, because they are tying a second game into it. But they could have left it by itself, and it would have still been a whole story. So there's no reason that they can't do that and still make it more intricate and make it a better plot and still have it tied together at the very end. It's just going to be a longer game, and I don't see a problem with that.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, but I feel like while it is still for the younger audience, I feel like the Zelda target audience is a bit older than the Mario target audience.
Breath of the Wild 2 is meant to be darker than Majora's Mask.
Yeah, I mean, everyone dying. It's kind of deep.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna wholly disagree there. I would definitely say when you compare, Mario games, you're looking at typically age group is gonna be probably between the ages of like 6 to 12 typically. Right. That's normally where they aim at. Where Zelda games are probably gonna be closer to like
13,
10
17.
Yeah, you're gonna get more into the teens, and I definitely agree with you there. But I don't think. I think that's a problem with the mindset, because if you look at Mario, there's a good way to create a game that's made towards and geared towards children so that they can pick it up and easily play it, but still be able to satisfy the older fans and the older generations that play it. There is a proper way to do it, and I just don't think they've been able to properly do it.
Right,
I agree. They're too afraid of making a big change. That's why.
That's one of the things. The company needs to have some more balls towards this franchise. The problem is such a well-recognized.
They need more cojones.
Exactly. Such a well-recognized character as is. Right. Any changes they make will have drastic effects. Think of a small indie game where they can go on big, wild, plot-driven, whatever's with no things of consequences, because that's that. This is their flagship series that has stood against the test of time and is known as like their mascot.
Right. Yeah.
If they go drastically changing everything and what it's about, that could have major consequences. But beyond, hey, this is a good game.
Exactly.
I'd like to add on to that. I feel not really add on, but like give my Anywho, I feel like I get that, and I do feel like they're a little afraid to make a difference. But it's not like you're giving Mario a gun. It's nothing like that crazy of a change. I'm saying, like, look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. That show is literally for kids, but also when you watch it as like a teenager or an adult, it has a whole different meaning to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they can somehow perfect that formula like that Avatar: The Last Airbender did, because it was for kids, but also for adults and teenagers.
Yeah,
so
and that's something they should strive for.
Figure something out. Like I'm not gonna lie, Luigi's Mansion nowadays is so child friendly. I just can't bear to play it anymore. Look at Luigi's Mansion 1 compared to the last two games.
I know. Luigi's Mansion 1
is the perfect example of how to balance. Like,
but by the way, I'm gonna plug myself super hard. I have played that on my channel. Check it out. It is fantastic.
I recommend you go check them out as well. I've never seen it, but I'll definitely check it out later today. Send me a link.
I'd plug my channel, but you'd want to commit suicide.
Bro. Nah, I'm good. I won't.
Would you like me to send you the link in a DM? I swear to God, you will rip your ears out after watching.
I mean, nothing can be as bad as my Puff Tender moments on live streams.
I mean, to bring it back full circle though, I definitely agree with the whole idea that you don't want to change too much of Mario because you want him to stay recognizable. You don't want to have lore implications to get tied around, right? You don't want to, because they had that problem with Zelda already, where they had to like make a whole timeline because it literally didn't make sense that none of the games tied into each other whatsoever, basically. Yeah. So they had to create this super complex timeline, and they don't want to do that obviously with Mario, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's actually a really good point.
They should make another Mario RPG.
They should.
Good Paper Mario, please.
I thought they already said that they were doing another Paper Mario or Paper Mario-esque for the Switch, or is that just?
I think they are. I think it's a rumor.
Rumor? Okay.
But I would
be down for it though. I'd be totally happy with that.
Weren't you guys having the discussion earlier about like best Paper Mario game?
I still prefer the original one, but that's just because that's the one I first played. No,
Absolutely
the one
was.
on Paper Mario on the N64.
The original.
The original one.
Thousand Year Door was in the Wii U, right, or the GameCube?
That was GameCube.
Okay,
Thousand Year Door.
That's the one I played.
I think Super Paper Mario was the one on the Wii.
Oh,
It
that
is.
was that was a good one.
I mean,
that was
obviously,
my favorite one by far.
I mean, obviously, if they could somehow, work with Square again and make, Super Mario RPG again, that would be
but
fantastic.
The Square's
I'd be-
like their own thing. They don't like
I know,
Nintendo
I
very
know,
much.
but
They don't like us.
Not anymore, they don't. But I think it would
Only
still be
like
fun to
remake.
see like a true sequel to that, because then you actually get Geno back and everyone would blow their
Yeah,
minds.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely for the mature audience would lose their shite over that.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Guys,
the
imagine
young
that.
audience wouldn't.
They remake Super
unfortunately.
Mario RPG,
but
the cutscenes are all anime.
dude,
Oh,
I'd be down for that.
Anime Mario?
That should
Anime
be a-
Mario.
Anime Mario RPG.
Totally
coming
weeb,
down
let's
to
weeb it
Nintendo.
out.
No, you know what?
Give
Screw
Mario
it.
a
They don't
Death
even make
Note.
it where it's on the Switch. It's only on the Switch Lite.
Ooh, only on the Switch Lite? I think I'd rather
Switch
kill
Lite
myself.
And this Switch has a Kiss anime, bro.
Oh man.
Free
Oh, man.
anti-Haven subscription.
I think it'd be just, you know what? Honestly, the real hope, the real absolute hope for like Mario Odyssey 2. I want a Geno costume. That's all I want. Give me a Geno costume.
Yeah.
Give me that Geno back. I need it.
All right, I'm gonna be right back.
Yes, sir. I might get some water. I've been talking too much, and I'm playing Smash at the same time, so I'm like, my brain's exhausted. I just want to go real quickly.
Smash
Whoever is
that.
it? Whoever? I'm not gonna
Hey
say.
guys, I'm playing Melee.
Wow, what a god.
See, that's
Hours ago?
the true Smash right there. Everyone knows this to be true.
Nah, I think Ultimate's the best one. I
How
think
dare
Ultimate's
you?
the best
How
Smash.
dare
I'm
you.
sorry. My first Smash game was Melee 2, bro, but like, I feel like Ultimate is just the perfect game that Sakurai wanted or envisioned Smash Bros.
I
to
wouldn't
be
say
like.
it's perfect, but I
It's
definitely
definitely not perfect.
pretty good. It's definitely the next best in my opinion. Like you go to Melee, then Ultimate. Like Melee is
Yeah.
always gonna have that
Oh,
over
yeah,
anything else, you know?
Melee is iconic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
All right, I'm back.
Man, I didn't get my
All the
water yet.
cutscenes are iconic.
So, something
Brawl-
Super
Brawl-
Odyssey 2.
I mean, the Wii U version was just. we don't talk
Yeah,
about
it's-
the Wii U version.
We no, everybody wants to forget the
Version I thought
Wii U
was free,
existed, which makes me sad because the Wii U actually did have a bunch of good games on it, but everyone just wrote it off. But whatever.
It had good games, but they came out so far in between. That's why it was bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I be
just
honest?
got a Wii U and
Yep.
I'm discovering all of the amazing things of it.
I know. I actually have a Wii U right now.
I still have a Wii U too, man.
I still have mine, and I still
I
play
have
games on it, and I'm still like amazed at
I
how
use it
good
as a
games
Wii
are that
emulator.
nobody talks about.
Wii games on now. I play
But-
Xenoblade Chronicles on that thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So Nintendo should like take their old teams from like Paper Mario and stuff and put that into a mainland Mario game.
Yes.
So we
That'd
don't
be
just have Bowser Turtle Man as the enemy.
Right?
I feel like it should be
That's
different.
true. That's true.
Or maybe they can keep that same regular basic Mario formula, but also just make another series that actually has like meaning to it.
Right.
You have two Mario series, and then you have one series that everyone's really hyped for, and you have one series that everyone's expecting, which is like
Yeah.
an
You have a Kids Mario,
and you have
Gamer
a
Mario.
edgy gamer teenager adult
Yeah.
Mario.
Emo Mario. I dig it. Emo Mario.
The
We
thing
need
is,
anime ads
as much as
on
that,
Switch Lite.
This is where the anime Mario comes into play.
I mean,
The
as much
Switch
as
Lite exclusive RPG.
as much as that sounds fantastic, the thing
It's
is,
just-
Nintendo won't do it. They just
Yeah.
won't. They don't
I
want
really
to split
hope
their
someone
fan
from
base in that
Nintendo
way.
just happens to stumble across this podcast. I doubt it will happen.
I think they'd cry. They'd be like, "What are you guys doing to my
First of
Mario?"
all,
There's a
my dad
reason
works
why-
at
there's a reason why
Nintendo.
we don't have Mother 3 or Mother 4. There's a reason why we don't have any new Mother games these days, because those games are dark. Those are dark games.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of torn on the whole Mario Odyssey game because the thing is, there's so much to like about Mario Odyssey, and then going into Mario Odyssey 2, I'm just thinking if you keep the parkour system that's in Odyssey currently now, that would be fantastic. But everything
Facts.
else about Odyssey, just get rid of it, like redo it all, because the worlds are colorful and they look great, but
They
they're
look
not interesting. They're not
What they need to
interesting.
do, rather than in Odyssey, where each world is its own separate thing, you have to go to a balloon to fly to the others. make them all in one gigantic map that you have to travel between.
Well, exactly. Like you, instead of having like a loading screen, you just end up all of a sudden going from one place like outside of a town to the desert area or something like that. You know?
Yeah,
Like-
I feel like that'd be fun if it was just a big map.
Also, can I add
Speaking
something?
of one giant map, what about kingdoms and stuff? Like, we haven't really
Exactly.
talked about that at all.
Whole other worlds we haven't even seen, or other kingdoms. All we have is what the Tosuo kingdom, and we know about Bowser's kind of weird things.
Sarasa Land,
But
Like
there's not
Sarasa
enough
Land?
else. Like we need
Mario
more.
World.
Yeah.
I want to see a Delfino Kingdom or something.
Oh god, that'd be great. We haven't seen them in forever.
HD graphics will be beautiful.
Yeah, for real. I think there's a good way to do all of that, especially based on the foundation they've built with Breath of the Wild. Do that, that giant map, and then just do Mario instead with it. Obviously, the Switch has the capabilities of doing it. You've already proven it, so just go do it.
I wish they thought about that when they made Sword and Shield, but that's not my team.
Oh,
Well,
God,
that
game
has
is
a whole other problem.
that
Yeah.
game.
Not my team.
That's a whole other thing. So I
That's disappointing on a whole different scale.
say we each go through and say like our favorite and then least favorite thing about Odyssey, and then like one thing you would change for the new game. So we'll start with. We'll just go down the list. We'll start with brief.
So, one
Alright.
thing that should not be in the sequel is all of these cosmetics.
Yeah, unless they have a purpose besides being cosmetics.
If they have purpose, I will use them. Like, I'm gonna go back to Hat in Time for a second. Hat in Time had each hat have a certain power up, but those hats also had like flares that you could use. So if you use those flares, and you can just customize the hat how you like.
So you'd like to see something like that in the new Odyssey?
I would love that.
Yeah. All right. Next is XZ.
Me. So I'm kind of like the only thing I want is like have a hat power up. So it'll either be like a ghost mushroom, I don't know, a strong hat to break stuff. But the thing I do not want is we do not need like 900 moons. No,
Right.
give us half that and maybe. But so
Please
Odyssey
make it an even number.
has way too many moons.
I couldn't agree more.
They need to do like 667 moons just to like make viewers mad.
Yeah, that's kind of facts.
Well, it couldn't be the other one.
Why not just go 420? I mean,
That'd be perfect.
Or just 69.
No one would argue with either of those numbers.
Funny number.
420, 69.
420,600.
Yeah, how much?
So,
How many
42,096.
so a game pass. So what do you want and not want in Odyssey 2?
Gosh, there's a lot of things that I hope for. Like, I hope they continue to carry over that parkour system because it's so good. I agree that I think the cosmetics aren't great, and I think what I'd rather have than having all these individual worlds is make it all into one. If you're gonna have all of these individual worlds, I mean, this isn't an N64 or GameCube. You don't need to do that anymore. You obviously have the capabilities to do more with it, so do that. I mean, there's just so much more they can do with it, and I think they have a good foundation. I just think they need to improve upon that foundation.
All right, Puff.
I'm so excited to talk about this. So Odyssey had the Luigi balloon thing as its only multiplayer capabilities. Am I wrong? Other than the leaderboards and world records.
Multiplayer.
Yeah.
Well, Hat in Time. I love how we bring back a Hat in Time. A Hat in Time was just better Odyssey. But anywho, like imagine a full local co-op, Mario and Luigi, in an Odyssey game, or you can go online, Mario and Luigi in an Odyssey game. If Hat in Time, an indie game can do it, I'm sure Nintendo can do it.
Nintendo has like unlimited resources. They can do anything.
They are like the big dogs of the gaming community. Besides like
Microsoft and Sony.
Sony, but I mean Microsoft is kind of lacking nowadays, unfortunately.
PC Master Race, woo!
Right. But just imagine the idea or the thought of going on an adventure with your friends online. Going to the same exact cutscene story adventure online with your friends. It's not impossible. and it'll be so much fun, and it adds a replay of the game besides it being a Mario game. And we'll get like non-Mario fans or non-single player fans who don't like single player games who actually pick it up because it's co-op and online and stuff like that. Maybe not like competitive multiplayer, but just a co-op multiplayer with good internet and the good networks and servers to play on. Besides, how Super Mario Maker 2's servers are kind of doo-doo.
They should actually have a voice chat that works.
Here's my solution. If Microsoft and Nintendo are such good friends, why can't we just get Xbox to make Nintendo's online server? Just make their entire online service and just give like Microsoft a 5% cut of all the revenue. That's like millions of dollars for free. Literally.
Another thing on the multiplayer they could do is you could like pick them up and like either give them a boost or
You can solve puzzles only in co-op.
Yeah.
Co-op exclusive moons that aren't necessary for 100%.
That would be fun. Awesome. That would be really
where co-op is like necessary. Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
And one thing I would remove from Odyssey, definitely, I'd remove Cappy.
You don't like the cap throwing? I feel like they should have done more than just that one gimmick.
No. I want to clarify. If Cappy was the only gimmick, like they were used that gimmick and only that gimmick, I would be pissed because Cappy is just you throw him and you capture animals.
Also needs to not put in motion controls for Cappy, just make them buttons or controller inputs.
Yeah, I feel that they should just try to make it to where you can solve puzzles and stuff with motion controls, not the actual like gameplay itself. Motion control oriented because we all know how that didn't work. Skyward Sword and on the Wii, that wasn't very fun. But well, actually, I'm gonna change my mind about what I'd probably remove the kingdoms. There was no really hub world in that game, so I would add a hub world and remove kingdoms and have it to where it's all somewhat connected. Well, yeah, all somewhat all connected into one big world. But like each area had its own puzzle and stuff you had to solve, and then in each area you would get a new ability or stuff like that. And then once you get powerful enough or strong enough, then you could probably move on to the next place. Or if there's some place that's super difficult, you'd move on. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Hopefully y'all are picking up on what I'm throwing down because I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But basically, no kingdoms and online multiplayer. That's all I'm gonna say.
C-Man.
Man, you're not supposed to die like this.
See, man, who wrote his name? Who wrote his name in the Death Note?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I've been kind of BSing my way through this whole thing. The only Nintendo-related thing I own is a 2DS.
What a god!
Yeah.
So
I've been basing what I've been saying off of just my knowledge from the game, just thanks to partly brief and other parts the internet and just what I know about it, as well as just my knowledge of other games and how games should be structured, and just what I think and basing it off of what you guys have been saying. Things I would like in the new game, a lot of it's already been said before, has been, I feel like, a story-driven game, yet also open worlds. I know, again, I'm going to bring back the example of Subnautica, because I've been playing through that a lot recently, is that obviously it's entirely open world. You can go do whatever you want, whenever you want. But if you were to sit down and look at Subnautica objectively, it's very much story-driven. You and the Kahara virus, you're trying to get off the planet. Spoilers, but, obviously there's the Sea Emperor below, and it is very much a story-driven and plot-based game, yet it's entirely open world. If you looked at that game from another point of view, you would say that it's as open world as something like, Minecraft, which is like the most open world thing I can think of.
Literally. What you said about it, Subnautica being like story-driven, the story in that game is optional. You could just play the game, playing it as a survival-based game, or you could play it as like a story-based game that you survive in. So
I feel like that's one of the good things about the game. I'd like to see something like that in a new Mario game.
Breath of the Wild, how that story was, the story, Lay's memories were all optional.
Yeah.
So if the children of that game don't really care about the story, then you just play through like a normal Mario game, defeat Bowser, and voila, you got Mario. winning.
But at the same time, the more advanced, experienced players, they want to go through and develop the characters' personalities and create this whole backstory. It's boom, there you go.
Yes. Why is Bowser so evil? Why does he want to capture Princess Peach? All that.
Dad left him at age 2.
Besides, Bowser wanting some good old Princess Peach action going on in his bedroom, we'd actually get like a reason why. And the only issue with that I see is how would they implement the two various playthroughs, like kid playing the game, not going through the story, but the advanced way of playing it that a more mature audience would enjoy. That's the only issue I have with that is how would they implement that? But I'm sure they can find a way. If they do, then this game is going to be Game of the Year. But then again, here's the issue. Nintendo is, at the end of the day, they're a business with only one main goal in mind. Nintendo and Dutch Vanderland have a very similar goal, and that is just to make money.
Right.
So, and no matter what happens, even if they don't change a single thing about Mario, it's going to sell.
It's going to sell really well because it's purely a Mario game.
Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah, exactly. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah, why put effort into it if you're going to make $3 bajillion anyway with zero effort? You could put in $2 million worth of work, and the game sells $3 million worth of sales. Or you could maybe call up your nephew and tell him to draw something in Microsoft Paint, label it Mario, and sell it on the Switch, and you'll still make $3 billion in sales. Except you didn't have to spend $2 billion to make it. So in the end, your net profit is $3 billion. Everyone hates the game, but you're rich now.
Exactly. That's the issue.
I mean,
that is the biggest. That's why indie games are so much better, is because they don't
have that incentive. They don't have
guaranteed $3 billion in the bank just for, hey, this is a game.
I mean, if you make a bad Mario game, though, you just hurt the brand, and then the likelihood that another game of that kind is going to sell is very small.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
But they don't make bad Mario.
There have been bad Mario games in the past, for sure.
This is also why
3D World, but it did still sell, did it not?
True.
I don't know why, I really like 3D World.
I like it too. No, I like it too. But
I didn't like it at all.
It's the most controversial one because 3D World, 3D Lands.
This is why all the indie games we've been talking about we've held in such high regards. If you look at all of the indie games out there, I guarantee all the ones we've talked about are less than a percentage of them, because those are the ones that stand out. Those are the ones that have done it right. We've been talking about it like all indie games have this golden trait that makes them great games. No, the only reason we know they even exist is because they're great games. The thing with Nintendo is that they put in zero effort and it doesn't become a great game. It doesn't get hidden in the back of Steam on the $2 sale.
Right.
Yep.
It's up there on the front page where everyone knows about it and can openly criticize it. No one criticizes whatever $2 game on Steam because no one's heard of this $2 game.
I was gonna say there are people who do go out of their way that criticize, indie games when they're done badly. There's whole channels that are dedicated to that. So to say that there isn't any is incorrect.
No, but I'm saying if you look, because anyone can make an indie game, that's the whole point of indie, is that it can be made just by the community and anyone who picks up a license of Game Maker Studio. You've got yourself 99% of the games out there that are just untouched by anyone and have like 10 total downloads.
Yeah.
The ones that you hear about are either so objectively bad that it draws attention to it, or are so just good that people actually enjoy it.
Right. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And equally, I don't think, if you're going to be a big gaming company like Nintendo, Microsoft, any of these guys, you have to realize that your reach is going to see a lot more people.
Correct.
So yeah, they're going to get more openly criticized because, while their games may not necessarily be objectively bad in comparison to an indie game that's really bad, but the difference is when you're that big, everyone has high expectations, and if you don't meet those high expectations, you're going to get criticized for it.
Correct. Plus, everyone's even just going to see the game, and everyone's going to know the game exists.
Exactly. You can't just sweep it under the rug.
Correct.
Look at Breath of the Wild. Go ahead.
I don't think Nintendo would do this, but something that would make it highly in a lot of moons worth it is basically like Breath of the Wild. You can fight Bowser or whatever at any point, but let's say for every 10 or 20 moons, it gets weaker for whatever reason.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, for instance, having 9,000 moons would have a purpose instead of just
collecting them.
Yeah. You can have 20 ways of beating a level.
Right,
That's,
and that's totally cool.
I like that approach to it.
I mean, like that's kind of what we started with at the very beginning too. Is talked about creating an open world where you can literally go anywhere and do anything and fight any boss whenever you want, as long as you take in with the connotation that you're probably gonna get really destroyed early on.
Right.
Like, but you're given the choice, and I think that's always a great kind of concept to go with.
It's always a great concept to go with. I feel like that sort of thing would work out really well.
Yep.
That was actually genius.
But I
You
don't
know,
think Nintendo would do it.
Oh,
It's
it's
Mario.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they would go for the Breath of the Wild approach where you can fight Bowser stage 1, but I do feel like they could do something that you can make Mario stronger somehow by collecting something to make boss fights, more interesting or more unique.
Right.
That's something they could do, but I'm not sure.
I mean, the only other way I could think of them improving upon the way they have it is, like I said, make it into more of a Metroidvania where you can't go get to the boss now, but collecting all those moons and stuff will actually help to make you more powerful, so that when you do fight the boss, you don't have to have all the moons to fight him or any of these mount, but it'll make it that much easier to fight the boss.
Right.
Or and then you'd have them more hidden. You'd have more puzzles to find them. Like I got done playing through Metroid Prime, and I'm currently doing the editing for that, and there's so much things you can collect in Metroid Prime, such as like energy tanks or missile upgrades that you don't need. Heck, there's weapon upgrades that you don't even need to beat the game, but they make the game about 1 billion times easier when you do. So stuff like that, I think, is a great way to incentivize people to collect everything by rewarding them, either making the game easier, or, for example, Metroid Prime, if you scan all the bits of lore, you get an extra cutscene at the end of the game. Give you something for doing so,
Exactly. I'm gonna jump in and add on to that. I just like what you said at the very end there, where you're seeing if you do all that extra stuff. I feel like if, for example, let's say those power moons are back again. Let's say you get power moons, right? Let's say you collect the regular amount, like the general amount that you get, and you get an okay average ending. Princess Peach is rescued, and Mario's happy. But then you get let's say you collect all the power moons, you get a special ending where Bowser's just like, oh well, something different happens for once. You get a different ending, so you actually have
Mario doesn't just rescue him, but pretty soon you got a little Mario.
Oh yeah, right. or Donkey Kong.
Mario.
Donkey Kong. What if this happens? Like Donkey Kong comes in, takes Princess Peach, and you have a whole other adventure to go. Maybe like a mini little adventure after if you got the power moon. Just something.
If Donkey Kong came in, it would just be a repeat
give
of
you
Halloween.
Something more replayability, because I did not want to play it. Finish it. I don't touch the game. I haven't touched the game since I beat it.
I feel like
I haven't done it.
The main people who are still playing Odyssey are just speedrunners.
Mostly speedrunners, yeah.
Mostly speedrunners, yep. And that game was a speedrunning like gem. I am not gonna lie. It's perfect.
Yeah, no, that game is great.
Oh yeah, it's great.
They need to bring that back for the next 3D Mario game, like Odyssey. Definitely.
But I just think that there's a good way to create end game content for the user that they just haven't done in most of their games recently. Like there just hasn't been a lot of end game. Like I mean, Breath of the Wild is an outlier. That had a ton of stuff you could still do after
even DLC. Where's Mario? Oh my god, yeah, DLC is a whole different topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's something that we haven't seen in Odyssey. We haven't seen really any DLC. We haven't seen any extension of the game. We haven't, like, you collect everything and it's just a congrats, you collected everything. Like there's got to be more.
Right. Especially since we such a long wait time in between each Mario game. At least like the game long enough to where we can actually enjoy it. I mean, what did we get after Odyssey? Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I feel like we should definitely want to go back and play Odyssey again, because it's a good game. It's just there's nothing to do in it once you're done with it. You play through it, you have fun for like 4 hours.
Yeah, we did it. All right, I'm going to bed now. Do you ever play that game again? Nah.
No.
I tried to play it and I was just bored.
That was a good $60 spent on 5 hours of fun.
Like honestly, if they're not going to go down that route, at least make like alternate endings or something. Do something that's going to incentivize me to come back and play it again.
Yes. Or make you have choices to where you make in the game, just like how Telltale does that perfectly. But I'm not saying I copy that. Like,
make another. You can make like a Mario story mode. Sort of like the
you can choose
rip off of Minecraft story mode.
You can choose to spare a Goomba or kill a Goomba.
Nintendo will remember this.
Right. Nintendo will remember this.
Whenever I think of like the Telltale games, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just like
I'm half
Walking Dead,
I'm happy with what I'm talking about. That's never gonna happen in the Mario game, like ever. Maybe unless in a Mario story game.
Of course not.
No.
But like it'll be a cool idea.
But they don't even need to do that. Just create an environment where either collecting more stuff gives you different endings, or interacting with certain key people might unlock hints to do something specific that'll give you a different ending, or maybe even unlocking a specific item, something.
Like a secret boss or something. You do something in a specific order to get a secret boss, like collect these many power moons and go back to this place to collect some certain amount or more. Like hidden secrets. There's no hidden secrets in these games anymore, really.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, create more secrets, create bonus content, something that incentivizes the player to actually fully explore every environment they're in.
Like what's it?
Just giving you 100%, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, that like
go back.
The first Easter egg, like the guy who put his name in the adventure game.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Do something like that, maybe.
Yeah, you could easily do something like that.
Unlock the game's credits.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, just something, because really, right now there's nothing, and just sprinkle in a couple of secrets or a couple hidden objectives, and it'll just make that game more fun to actually 100% complete.
Exactly. Right. And even business-wise, it wouldn't be. It's not a bad idea, and I would complain. They would be making more money off it if they added DLC to add more bonus content into the game. I know DLC is kind of controversial. You're like, well, it should have been in the game in the first place. But then again, like, it's still more content at the end of the day. And I would not be complaining. Breath of the Wild's DLC is perfect. Perfect example.
I was going to say, if it's quality DLC, you're not going to hear too many people complain. It's when you get bad DLC or DLC that looks like it's clearly been cut out of the game and reintroduced. That's when people have a problem with it. When you have when you have DLC that's clearly been made maybe a year after the game's done, it's clearly had time to develop, and they've actually put work into it and actually has almost its own kind of little storyline rather than just being a new area. People will respect that, and they're gonna pay $30 for it. Like, it's basically its own mini game within a game. People will be happy.
Bring this up again, but just like a Hat in Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. Are they still making DLC for that game, or are they done?
I think they said there won't be any more DLC, or there is no plans for DLC in Mario Odyssey, but they said they weren't planning on making a Switch remodel, and look what happened 3 months later.
That's true.
Well, I'm not talking about Odyssey. I'm talking about Hat in Time. Is there gonna be more DLC for that game?
I don't think so.
I think they finished. Yeah, I think at this point it's going to go into a sequel.
Another thing they could do is I'm gonna go back to the same game again, since we've just been going back to Hat in Time. And
Hat in Time
it's just so hard not to compare it, They're
like the same game.
So I'm gonna go back again to Subnautica. If you guys know Below Zero, it's basically what we've been talking about, the DLC. It's like a mini extra game. It's not
exactly.
Below Zero isn't a sequel to the game. It isn't going to be as big. It's not going to be as expansive. It just basically is a DLC, but they packaged it. It's not like in the main game. It's like its own separate application, but all it is just like a DLC.
Basically, exactly.
They do something like that for Odyssey. Make it like a little Odyssey mini.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's plenty of options that they have, or that they could take, that they haven't taken, that I think would easily improve upon Odyssey, a sequel, Odyssey 2 or whatever the heck they make. Just do more. Don't be so safe with your property. Like,
right.
I understand you don't want to ruin it by trying to appease other people, but at the same time, by being too safe, eventually people are going to key into that and be like, is this just going to be another Odyssey? Then why would I buy it? Because to be honest, if I see gameplay of Odyssey 2 or whatever the next Mario game is, and it looks almost the same, I ain't gonna buy it. I'm just not.
That's exactly the problem with the
I was kind of skeptical of Smash Ultimate. I was skeptical of Smash Ultimate at first. I thought it was a Smash 4 port or reboot. I'm not gonna buy that. But then like everyone's here, and then they showed off why the game is so different from Smash 4. Then I'm like, oh my god, Smash Ultimate's the best Smash game of all time.
Yep.
Right. Now, this is never going to happen in a million years, but would you be opposed to a game that's not called like Mario Odyssey or Mario 2, but it basically is the same mechanics, but they're more risky with it?
I want a game
that's 100%.
So the more radical the change, the more exciting it'll be.
I mean, I got no issue with them not keeping the name. As long as if they keep the core mechanics the same and they just improve upon what they have and they create a bigger and bolder area to explore and create much more to do, whatever it is they decide to do, but as long as they be more bold with it, I think everyone would be happy. I think even kids who play Mario would come into the game and still be happy with what they got. Because the thing is, the idea that kids nowadays don't like challenge in their video games is absolutely absurd. I remember when I was 6 playing Star Fox 64, and if you want a game that's brutally difficult, that's a game for you. So
honestly,
nowadays everyone just wants easy reward. Hey, look, I beat the game. But what effort did you put in?
Put some effort in, and when you do that, you'll get people who will love your games for life.
I mean, a difficulty option.
I mean, just look at Star Fox in general. Star Fox has got such a huge following, even though Nintendo basically treats it like a stepchild, a redheaded stepchild. They almost never release games for it, but it still has this giant following because people love what they did with the old games because they were so brutally difficult. It created a reward when you finally actually beat it. People enjoy that aspect. Dark Souls is a great example of that entire philosophy. People enjoy the difficulty. There's no reason to baby it down.
And that's what you guys were talking about with
Mario.
Dark Souls Mario would be great.
Dark Souls Mario.
Oh my god. And this is what you guys,
I'm gonna search that up.
You guys were talking about having like a difficulty slider, so where you can choose the difficulty. The problem with that is if you've looked at games, especially recently, any game with a difficulty slider is criticized for that difficulty slider. I can't remember like what one of the recent examples was, but the game when you first booted up, the first thing that appeared was like, how hard do you want the game? And even though it was like it was a great game, all anyone talked about was how, oh, there are people who choose like the weak option because they're blah blah blah, and it's like the game was criticized and like didn't sell very well purely because it had the difficulty slider.
I feel like that's a dumb way to criticize a game.
It really is.
I don't like that criticism at all.
Wolfenstein, a newer one, made fun of you. The easiest mode was "Daddy, can I play?"
Oh yeah. The thing is, I got no problem with that. If that's the way they want to introduce it in these games, if the thing is, I don't have a problem with games that decide no, it's going to be brutally difficult. Screw you and your difficulty sliders, like a la Dark Souls. But I don't have a problem with them also creating difficulty sliders that are going to make it easier for kids to be able to play if they want to, but then adults who really want a challenge can just crank up the difficulty. I don't see a problem with that. I really don't.
I know whenever when I was younger, I mean, I would usually play the games on like no less than normal difficulty. Usually go higher. However, we would get games a lot from Redbox for like the 360 and whatnot. We'd get games from Redbox, and I would always put those guys on the easiest difficulty slider because I just wanted to experience the story, and I had to complete the game in less than I had to complete it in less than a day.
Exactly.
I couldn't spend the time to get invested in these like big rewarded whatevers because if I don't finish the game by dinner time, it's getting sent back to the box on the corner of CVS.
Yep. No, I 100% agree with that. I mean, I've seen that countless times where what I'll do personally is typically, even when I buy a new game, I'll typically play it on normal difficulty, and then afterwards, then I'll crank it out to the maximum difficulty and play it again. It creates replayability for me, because it creates the aspect of, I've experienced the story, I've experienced what they've wanted to tell me, but now I just want to play for the challenge.
Yeah, I'm doing that currently with Uncharted 4. I'm playing through it again on the Halo difficulty.
I'm doing that with Star Wars right now, so...
Which one?
The new one, Fallen
Order? That one seems fun. I haven't got
That's what I'm doing with Halo.
I've really enjoyed my time with it. I really enjoyed my time with it. I played it on normal.
On Odyssey topic.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that, like, I played it on normal, and I played it on extreme, but my point is that why can't a Mario game do that? Why do they... a better question is, why do they refuse to do that for Mario games?
That is a good question, though. That is a very good question.
They've done the opposite in, I think, 3D World and 3D Land, where if you died too many times, you got an invincibility leaf.
Yeah.
And then if you die after that, you would get a skip button. So they've done the opposite.
Which I think is actually a bad way to do it, too. I don't like that.
I hate that.
Yeah, I'm ashamed that I use that.
There's nothing wrong with giving players an option to have a high difficulty or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
You said that bringing in a skip button just makes you feel like you have no sense of of progression or like you've achieved anything. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to bring this up, but in Splatoon 2's Octo expansion, if you died at least 2 times in a level, they would allow you to skip. Except the problem was you wouldn't get the true ending.
Right. I guess if they wanted to do that too, I guess I wouldn't be too opposed to it. But it still feels kind of like a cop out to be like, look, you completed it, yay! But you really didn't complete it. You know, like I don't like if they give you the option, kind of like I've seen. I don't remember if it's Fallen Order that does this or another game that was similar. But when you die enough times, it goes, hey, looks like you're dying a lot. Do you want to change the difficulty? Do you want to make it easier for yourself? Like something like that, I'd be okay with. You know, at least asking you, being like, hey, you died like 10 times this one boss. You sure you don't want to make it easier for yourself? You know, but
there are some games that don't even have a difficulty meter. You just go in and they're already hard. But if you die enough times, the level will get slightly easier without you knowing, and the more you die, the easier it gets.
I feel like it's more of you getting smarter at the game over time.
No, there are some games that it starts out at a given difficulty, and if you breeze through the first level, it becomes harder. If you go to less, it becomes easier. And I feel like that's a good way to do it because it keeps people engaged and it keeps them in like the right zone to where everyone can progress at their own way. Yet at the same time, it avoids the scrutiny.
RE4 also did that.
Because
the way they did it in RE2 was more, wasn't it based on they checked your inventory, and like if you started stacking up ammo, they would also like stop dropping you ammo, and then they would try to force, and then the enemies would get more. I believe they'd get more bullet spongy to try to get you to waste ammo or something like that. I don't like that. I actually don't like that because of my planning. You've already created this, like in RE2 for example, you've created a system where I already have a lack of inventory, and so if I'm smart enough to figure out a way to properly manage my inventory and be able to stack up my ammo for knowing that there's a boss coming up ahead, and then you're going to just throw countless zombies at me to waste my ammo, that feels like a slap in the face, not necessarily a game being harder.
Right.
Now, I'm not entirely sure how it's done in 4, but I think in 4 it's based on like how accurate your aiming is.
Yes.
So if you're landing headshots, they're going to make it harder, but if it takes you like 5 times to do it, then I guess a headshot would instantly kill the enemy.
Yeah, for sure. I just think there's a proper. I just think the easiest way is, having the adaptive difficulty is a neat idea, but I don't think there's too many games that have been able to properly perfect that idea. So I think just starting with a difficulty slider is the easy way to go. And if you want to do adaptive difficulty within that, I don't see too much of a problem as long as it's like small adjustments here and there. But I think doing a solely adaptive difficulty, I think, is not the correct way to go.
Especially in a platformer like Mario.
Right. Look at Smash Bros. For example. That game it's for all audiences, and you go to classic mode, make your classic mode experience super difficult, or you can do it the easiest way possible. It's nothing wrong with doing that. Probably the easiest way to do that, and that's obviously the Pokemon as well. Pokemon is getting too easy for the mature, older fans.
Exactly.
So I feel like a difficulty slider would just make everyone happy. I would never complain about Pokemon or Mario ever again.
If they made like Pokemon, the biggest problem that they have with that right now is it's easy, but it's easy because the attributes and the mechanics they have. Everybody's figured out how to properly build their Pokemon, but then on top of that, you have the AI that just makes dumb decisions all the time. Like, if I can make the game harder and make the AI think more, like, it's the same problem, right? Just make the AI smarter, make them think more. You know, if I bring out a fire type, rather than continuing to fight me with a normal or a grass type, just bring out your water type. It'd make it more challenging. It'd make it more fun.
Though, in Pokemon games is that they never swap out their Pokemon. If you have a Pokemon that's low on health,
very rarely. Early on they used to, but almost never now. Yeah, like if you play the earlier games,
they will fight that Pokemon to the death pretty much, instead of maybe swapping him out for another one or using more potions. They don't fight like a real person.
I feel like all trainer battles should be random. It shouldn't be scripted Pokemon that they already have. I feel like it should be random.
I disagree with that because I think that would create too many problems overall in general.
You think so?
Yeah, because they can only use this a couple times, and they can only use like potions a couple times.
I think if they have randomness within like a certain small section, I think it would work. You know, for example, like you don't want to be going up against one of the early trainers that has Pokemon that you can't find until like 3 or 4 hours later in the game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think if there's a certain amount of randomness, it would make it more fun and more replayable.
Like, for example, like in a wild area, you would find trainers that don't have the same Pokemon as everyone else. They would have like I don't know a Growlithe, and then it would have a fucking I don't know a Gyarados.
Yeah, exactly. No, if it was just like slight iterations, like the first time you're up against somebody, maybe they have a Caterpie, but the second gameplay you go through, maybe they have like a Weedle or something like that. Like I'd be okay with that kind of randomness. You just have to calculate like roughly the percentages on like which Pokemon they can or cannot have. And that obviously creates a lot of work, which is the problem that I'm gonna start looping back around. I know we got really off topic, so I'm gonna try to loop it back around to Odyssey too. Is the problem that I think a lot of these ideas that we have is pretty expensive to a certain degree, which is why I think if they model based on what they already have with Breath of the Wild, they know roughly how much that game costs. They know how much they made back, so then they know how much they can tinker with what they currently have.
Wow,
obviously, if you have adaptive difficulty, that can get expensive, and because that's very hard to program properly.
Right.
I think there's a good give and take, and I just think that they've been too easy, and they really haven't innovated in a while. Like the last innovation in my mind was probably Sunshine, just because of the fact that they brought in a new element that changed up the core gameplay. They haven't done that in so long.
So
it's because I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. It's because it's right back to what I said earlier about like I don't know 20 years ago. They just want to make money. Mario sales, period. That's why we haven't seen those crazy innovations. So, what were you saying, Z-Man? Or was it Z-Man, right?
You guys earlier were talking about how the game you didn't like it because it was functioning on a single gimmick.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that. The best games have a single gimmick, yet they utilize that gimmick in different ways.
That's what Odyssey did not do.
Yes, no. Let's say the only thing you have in this game is it's a guy and he moves around a 3D world, and his only action is a grappling hook. That's the only gimmick in the game. You can't jump, you can't do anything. It's just you have a grappling hook. Yet it's not just swing, let go. There's innovative ways to do it. It takes that one gimmick and applies it in ways that you wouldn't normally think of. Like, oh yeah, you can use this thing to do that thing. I didn't realize that you could do that with this sort of grappling hook. You're not changing anything about the game. You're not adding more gimmicks, because then it just becomes like overcrowded. You're taking your one gimmick and using it to the best of your ability.
I mean,
that's something Odyssey didn't do.
I think they could still utilize a couple more gimmicks. I think a standalone gimmick works, especially for smaller or indie games. But when you start going into bigger games, you have to have at least a couple of gimmicks that work really well. But I definitely agree that in the aspect that you really need to utilize every aspect of that gimmick. Don't make gimmicks that are just like one-offs or stuff that you use on occasion. Like there's so many games that already do that. And it's like, yeah, great, I got this super cool weapon that I literally use for like one level. Like don't do stuff like that. Create like 2, 3, or 4 gimmicks that you're going to utilize very heavily. Create puzzles around
the rooms in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, just create a lot of content around that, either puzzles or platforming or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree.
Turns out I unplugged my mic at some point.
What's going on?
Apparently I unplugged my mic at some point, so I hope I didn't say anything, but...
I was going to say, if you said anything, we didn't hear it.
Nah, you're all good, man.
Yeah, you're good, bro. Don't worry about it. But, anything else? To summarize... Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like at this point we're just repeating the same like points over.
I think we're kind of going in circles at this point now.
Sunshine good, Hat in Time good.
Odyssey bad.
Odyssey bad.
Odyssey mediocre.
Odyssey bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's just mediocre, and I think it's a good template. It's a good building block, but they really need to build on it. And too many games have they done that in the past and just left it alone and not done anything. Like Sunshine was a great example. It was very good, it was very solid, but think about it if they could have advanced that and made like a Sunshine 2 that was proper. That would have been a fantastic game. But they just left it alone. They didn't do anything with it.
'Cause I don't think a Sunshine on the Wii with the motion controls could have actually worked. So you have more of like a pose instead of a tank aiming.
Right.
Yeah, true.
So that's where I'm at. I hope this is a good base that they decide to build on, rather than scrap it and start a whole new again.
Yeah, I feel like-
seeing that come up.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like since we're gonna have, I mean, look what they're doing with Breath of the Wild too. They're using the same exact engine, same exact world. We're gonna do something new with it, though. So what about they can do that with Odyssey? They made the same, hopefully the same exact world, but something new, or maybe the same exact world, but something new with it. Places to
Something new
explore.
with it, yeah.
Yeah, something new about it. I mean, you can make the same game, but add a bunch of new stuff to do. Then it's basically a new game.
Exactly.
Is there any like final points people want to add to this? Anything else people think? Yes, that's something we should mention.
Oh yeah, bring back Flood.
I gotta see that.
Bring back
Hat in
Flood.
Time, good.
Bring back, if you get all moons, you get to play Sunshine.
Yeah.
Oh my-
Yes.
You get to do the
brilliant.
HD remake of Sunshine.
Yes. Yes.
They basically said, screw it. Instead of coming up with a new game, we'll just add the gimmick of this game is that it's not a new game.
It's just not new. There we go.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Odyssey 2 is actually just Odyssey 1, but if you get all the moons, you play Sunshine, and that's it.
Odyssey 2, no, better. Odyssey 2 is just a gimmick name that's actually just Sunshine. It just
In
reskin.
disguise, it's just
Sunshine reskin. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we should probably finish this up.
Yeah,
Less
So
than a
to
minute
summarize,
today.
we talked about how we would like wait, I forget everything we talked about.
I talked about how have fewer moons or give us a reason to catch more than the amount of moons it costs to get to the next
Yes,
level.
post game. So to summarize, post game stuff. What else was there?
Post game, yes.
Post game, there was a true open world.
Yeah.
Multiple endings, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Multiple endings.
Difficulty settings.
Difficulty things.
Difficulty
Yep.
settings.
Definitely. Anything else we talked
Power-ups.
about? Oh yeah, power ups, new power ups. Oh, more
Power
characters
ups or
too.
abilities.
More playable
characters.
characters, more development of characters.
Or even just having more characters in the game, period, frankly.
Yeah,
Well,
true,
not even
true.
like, yeah, they don't even have to be super developed. Just other options besides default
Yeah.
character.
Right, and then
If there's
online
one thing Odyssey
multiplayer.
did right. It was
Online multiplayer.
And then, of course, if you're going to create costumes, make them important. Make them actually do something, rather than just be
Yes.
cosmetic.
Yes,
So
have
have,
time.
each kingdom or world will have a set costume. That's the gimmick for the
That's the
level.
game. Oh yeah,
But
That'd be
It's
cool.
Zelda item, like
And it gives you like a
yes.
specific ability that within that level, but it's a really large level. That
Yes,
you
that's
can also
genius.
use that
Yeah.
power up in other levels.
To
yeah,
unlock secret shit and stuff like that, but not to really progress. That's actually genius. You're actually whoever just said that. You're actually a god. Have my babies.
Thanks.
Have my babies.
make
No.
a big brain time.
By the time this podcast is done, we're just going to be talking purely about A Hat in Time.
Right.
We're going to give it up on Odyssey.
Just put,
Rename this stream from What Do You Want from Mario Odyssey 2 to
What,
What
no,
Do You
no,
Want
why
from
is
A Hat in
Hat in Time
Time.
so good?
why is Hat in Time better than Mario Odyssey? That's really
That's
what
what
this
we
is.
Yeah, honestly,
You can honestly just call this that. Oh, man. Alright.
So that's basically all we have to talk about so far, unless you all have anything else.
That's really it without repeating
Nah,
myself.
I think that's pretty much it.
Hat in Time's better.
Time's better.
Hat in
That's
Time's
better.
better.
I'm glad we all.
We've all come to that conclusion. That is the topic of this. It's just to
Left
come
on
to
a
that
bittersweet note,
conclusion.
everyone.
We all
Actually,
agreed
no.
on something. I'm amazed.
I do have one last thing to say. When do you
Alright.
guys think Odyssey 2 or the next 3D Mario game will come out? You think 2020, 2021?
It's gonna
I'm thinking
be
20.
revealed at E3 or the Christmas Direct. So
Either announce it during
Or Game
E3
Awards, really,
or
yeah.
this
I don't
fall.
know when they'll announce it, but I feel like it'll come out in 21.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd say at the earliest 21 if they actually release it.
Right.
Sure, I agree.
My opinion is there's two ways they can go about this. They'll announce it at E3 for a surprise fall release, or they'll have it in an early direct for 2021 as their 2021 holiday title.
Yeah,
Probably
I don't think
holiday
it's come. I think it's too soon for 2020. I think it's going to come 2021. This is my
Holiday,
opinion.
or maybe holiday 2020. Maybe I don't know. That's fucking-
Maybe.
Maybe
That's
they'll announce it
iffy,
like,
though.
they might announce it like holiday this year, but then it won't get released till 2021.
Yeah.
Like for example, if they do what the rumor is right now that there's another Switch revision coming, then I could see them doing something like a bundle for like holiday 2020 at
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. Also keep in mind
But-
it's still January, so It's not like
Yeah.
we're talking about holiday, like it's this upcoming thing. Holiday
No,
is like
It's a year away.
It's
only
still
a year away.
basically
we'll
a
have
year.
a whole
Yeah.
another year between now and then.
No, I
Exactly.
agree.
And they've been developing. If they have been, they've been developing it since 2017 or even earlier than that. So
Yeah.
they've been working on
It's
this game
not-
for a good amount of time.
It's not impossible to see it 2020. I just don't think it'll happen. But
Yeah,
that's
I
just my
agree.
opinion.
I mean, if a big Mario game got announced for next, it'll probably overshadow a bunch of big games like Animal Crossing and Zelda are coming out next year. So 2020 or those games will overshadow Odyssey, the next Odyssey game. So I feel like 2021 would be the good year for it, so that it can like be the star of its own year, if that makes sense. It's like how Zelda and Animal Crossing are the big games coming out this year. Mario Odyssey or Odyssey 2 or whatever it's gonna be will be the star of 2021.
So this is what do you guys? I'm just gonna propose something out there.
Yep.
Your opinion on what if they just phased Mario out and phased in someone new as their new main
Ooh.
whatever? Like they take up a new flagship series.
Too controversial. They won't do
I
it.
talked about that a bit.
I mean, like-
basically where hard Mario is new series, and then easy Mario is Mario.
Wario World.
Yeah, that's
Wario
too,
World was like the hard Mario.
too controversial. It won't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, never gonna happen.
There's no chance. I was gonna say there's no chance that they're actually gonna do it.
Back in the GameCube days, it was often to see like Luigi's Mansion started that trend, and then you had Wario World that followed. Remember Wario World?
Yeah, I got no
Badass.
problem with spin-offs, but they always kept up with their main Mario titles. They're never
Yep.
gonna let that go, and they're never gonna
Yeah.
phase out the character and be like, he got old, so we brought in a new Mario. Like they're never gonna do that.
Link is always Link. Zelda's always Zelda.
Well, Link
That
is
works.
that's a different subject altogether because Link
That
is
is
technically
true.
multiple Links. So far as
Like,
we know,
you know,
Mario is just Mario.
And according
That is true.
to according to the average person, Link or Zelda, sorry, is that green person.
God, don't even bring it up,
I knew-
please
I knew
don't.
The second you started talking about that, I'm like, oh, here's 2020. Oh, here comes the fucking 2008 joke. Here we go.
The
again.
minute I heard you say it, I was like, he's gonna say it. I know exactly
Yeah.
what he's gonna say.
Okay, so before we finish this, I have a prediction. We're gonna get the Legend of Link, where you play as Zelda.
I feel like we're gonna get.
We already had that though. Remember the CDI game?
Oh, I was just gonna say something about that. Oh, he took my
Although
joke.
Rabbids
Oh.
Dungeon Crawler.
You chooch. He took my joke. Oh man, I swear too much. But anyways, I think that's about a wrap. Anything else? Anything else? Are we good?
No, I just think we need to close out all of our channels and
All right. Well, this is me. I'll close out for myself. So this was me, Puff Tendo. I usually stream. I stream every Friday, random stuff. Usually Smash Bros with my fans. I also post speculation videos in Smash Bros. Or I used to post meme comments, but not anymore. Thank God. So if y'all want to check me out, go right ahead. I'll leave my channel will be in the description. I recommend you do check me out, and you also should definitely check out all these other cool guys in this this thingy-majig we have here. We're going on
podcast.
this
There you go.
podcast.
Podcast.
Definitely check out these guys. They're badass. Oh fuck.
You swear and you swear and you swear. Come on, bro.
Remember the children.
This is not
Ah!
Okie
The children's ears.
I apologize. But
You
go ahead and take it away, y'all. Take it away.
from the top, back to the
There
beginning,
goes
to the top.
Okay.
We do the whole podcast.
Okay, this is the
Entire
outro.
podcast
We'll be
over
editing
again.
this is the outro now. Okay, here we go. I've been Puff Tendo in this podcast with these brothers. I hope y'all can definitely check out my channel. I do videos on Smash speculation and I do gameplay in Smash Bros. I even post meme comments from time to time, but not much anymore. But if you're interested, definitely check me out. My channel will be in the description. Hopefully, God, I hope so. But yeah, I also recommend you guys check out these other cool dudes in this podcast. They kind of popped off as well. We had a good time, didn't you? Don't you guys agree? We had a good time tonight.
Yep.
Nah, I hate all of you.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You guys can all just go. You guys can all just go die right after this is over.
Wow, that got savage.
Not on
Rude.
stream though, 'cause this is for the children.
No, we
Right.
can't die on stream.
Oh.
Absolutely.
No, you can't die on stream.
No, never.
On screen death.
That's not child friendly.
You're not,
Not
human,
childhood
of course.
All right. Well, who's the other dude? Next.
Brief.
Brief.
Yeah, we'll just start from the top of brief.
Yeah, it's over the top. Yep. Brief.
So,
Go ahead and plug yourself.
I'm brief. I upload random videos whenever the heck I feel like it.
Hell yeah. I have respect for that.
Respect.
Uh-oh.
Was that a swear?
I used to make compilations of a streamer, but that streamer has stopped streaming, so now I upload nothing. And I am
Dang.
Fantastic.
Kind
Fantastic.
of crazy, kind of quirky though.
And I'm Games Past the Prime. I do YouTube with Games Past the Prime channel. I literally review Nintendo games right now. I plan on expanding into
awesome.
PlayStation games as well as Xbox at some point. But go ahead, check it out if you're interested in reviews of older school games.
I guess I'm up next. This is Z-Man. I'm not going to plug my channel, so I will plug my friends. If you haven't, he's on Twitch. It is twitch.tv/Starked. If you want to go check him out, I think there's an underscore at the end of his name. I would recommend watching him because he's a lot better than I am.
No, don't say that. Don't
Don't downplay yourself, bro.
Yeah, come on, bro. Anywho, remember y'all to stay quirky, stay goofy, and please have yourselves a good one.